Hello guys, this is the review of the mobile station from Piko. It's the same like a mobile control 2 from well-known company ESU. This is the European company which produced the digital decoders and also the command stations. The look of the mobile control is the same, only the Piko sell it under our name like a SmartControl. When I started with the model railroading 1 year ago, I had nothing and I had to decide for the base station, and I didn't want the old-fashioned Roku multi-mouse and so on, and I knew that I want a digital command station, and in Europe we got no stations like Digitrax, NCE and so on. So I decided to buy this set for 600 euro, where you got a command station in a price for 400 euro and 2 sets of the trains with the locomotives. That's this red shunter locomotive with the cars, and this Intercity Express 3, which are really very nice, very neat locomotives. So, what do you become in a package? You become the mobile control with the power supply, which you connect here to the USB port, and you can charge the mobile controller. And then you become the control station. Piko call it Piko Smartbox, ESU call it other way. And you become also the power supply for the control station. This one is bigger. Normally you become the 2.5 ampere power supply. I bought this more powerful 5.3 amperes power supply. So, how it works? It's very simple. All what you have to do is to turn on the both devices, so the mobile control and the control station. You connect the control station to power supply, then to power source, and the control station will be turned on. You got here status LEDs, every one means something. The first one is the power. This one, for example, is if you got a current at your tracks. And then here you become the blue LED when the Wi-Fi is activated. Power supply you connect here to this connector. Then you got here the ESU accessory connectors, USB connector for firmware upgrade, and the most important are these 2 connectors. This one is for connection to main track, and this one to programming track. So when you got the SmartControl activated, turned on, you take the mobile control, you activate in settings Wi-Fi. You have to see Smartbox because the command station got integrated Wi-Fi access point. You take this Smartbox, maybe by ESU it is called other way, and everything is pre-installed. So you got here Smart application, if you see nothing and if your mobile control is not connected to control station, then go to settings, or normally you see this screen. Yeah, select command station, you choose the command station you see, then you see the main menu, probably with no trains, or maybe with one train with address 3 as a default for text testing. So it's simple. So when everything went okay and the both devices are connected, then you see this screen and you want to add a new locomotive. For example, in this case it's a new Intermountain Tier 4 locomotive with ESU decoder. And there are two ways how can you add new locomotive. Either it happens automatically when you got a decoder which supports the RailCom protocol. In this case it's a ESU decoder, so it's not a problem. And the second way is to add a locomotive manually. So now I'll show you how to add a locomotive automatically. It's very simple. You put the locomotive on a programming track, yeah, and then you turn on the power on the programming track or on all the tracks. You have to press this area where you got the stop sign. This LED changes from red to green, and it indicates that you got a power on a track. And when you got a new locomotive with a RailCom decoder, yeah, you become here a notice at the bottom that the new locomotive was detected, and if you want to add it to your list, you press OK, and everything will be loaded automatically. So you got here at the top a list of your locomotives, and if you click on a locomotive, you become also the list of functions that are the same F functions like on the other devices, and you have nothing to do. Yeah, everything works now. When I press F0, the lights will be turned on. If I press the horn sounds, and I can turn on the sound. So it's pretty simple. You can also turn on the number boards, also the ditch lights, and also the walkaway light. So everything is prepared. Now move on. You can control the movement with this dial style controller at the top. It's very good. That's the reason why I like this controller, because in comparison to other smartphone devices, you have not to look on a display. Yeah, you feel the dial with your finger, so you can concentrate yourself to locomotive and to controlling. So I move this locomotive now without sound, so you better hear me. You got here at the bottom the speed. You can change the speed. Locomotive moves. On the sides you got different buttons. I programmed this button, for example, for emergency stop. So the dialer moved automatically also to the 0 position. Now I can change the direction with so when everything works, you have nothing to do. You can use this locomotive as it was automatically added to your system. Normally you have to do one important thing. You have to assign the address for locomotive. Every locomotive and every control on your layout got own address, and it's a ID for the device. So normally every locomotive and with the decoder is preset to address 3. Also this one. Only in this automatic mode it works so that it becomes the ID or address beginning with 1000 or 1001, and it virtually then works with this address. But you can every time change this address here in menu. You can read the CV value 1, and you see that I have changed the address of this locomotive to 75. If you want to change it to other address, you can enter here other number and then you press the right. Yeah, so it's very simple. Then when you make it, you have also to change this address here by locomotive. So you click on edit locomotive and you got here ID. Yeah, by automatic defining, you got here 1001 or something. You can enter here the address you have entered by decoder configuration. You click done and everything must work. Now I show you the second case when you got a locomotive with the decoder without RailCom. In this case it's a latest release of the SD70 ACE from Eton with the Tsunami 2 decoder. This decoder probably does not support RailCom. So the first thing you have to do is to set the address. So I go to menu, where can I change the CV values. I read the address of the locomotive. Normally it should have 3. I change it to 80. So you enter your number and then you click on write. When you got the address set, then you go to locomotive list, and here you got either empty list at the beginning or a list with your locomotives. You click on create locomotive, and in this window you can enter the name, you can select the picture, so if the address is set, you can begin with the setting of functions. So you take a list from the decoder manufacturer and you say F0 is or are lights. You can select the mode in which you want to work with this function. It can be either toggle or momentary, so it works only when you hold the button pressed. F1 is this case the bell. You press on an icon and you can select the icon. Okay, it's a toggle. F2 is a horn. So you press on a icon and you can choose the horn and you say I want to use this horn only when I hold the button. F3 is a short horn, so you make the same. Horn. Dynamic brakes is F4. You can either use this fan, or I use this brake sound icon. It looks better for me. And so on. You can define all other functions. Yeah, you can also define if this function is enabled or disabled. You can make it per this button. Yeah. Okay, when everything is done, the locomotive is set. You click on done. I click on cancel. Then locomotive appears in this list. In this case, it's a George Bush. So I look for this locomotive. And I got this locomotive defined here. And now I can operate all the functions of the locomotive. So I turn the power on and I can turn on the lights, the ditch lights. I can use the horn. I can turn on the bell and also the sound. On the soundtracks you can manually turn on the sound or startup sequence by function F26. It's a notching up. Oh, sorry, with F8 I disabled the sound. And you can move the locomotive as always. Reverse. Emergency stop. And I can turn off the sound with notching down. So very simple. Now I'll show you how can you change the CV values. I have shown it by changing the address. It's the same way. You go to read write CVs and now you can enter the CV value. For example, we want to change the volume. So by Tsunami soundtracks Tsunami, I enter 128 and I click on read. Actual value will be written. You see that the actual value is 150. When I want to change it, for example, to 10, I can enter 10 and I click on the right. Yeah, the value was changed to 10, and back when I want to change to 150, I'll enter 150 and click on right, and the value was set. So very simple. In that way you can change every CV that you want. Now when you edit all the locomotives to your list, you can go to main screen, and you got the tab control at the top, and you can switch between locomotives. For example, I look now for tier 4. I click on it and it changed to tier 4. And now back to George Bush. When you got a lot of locomotives, you got a long tab page or tab control with tab pages, so you can hold the tab control, and here you can see the list of all your locomotives, and you can select your locomotive quicker. Now I'll show you how can you very easy define the consist. You take command mobile control, you go up and you click on create consist. You can enter the name, and then you can add any locomotive that you have. So you can add so much locomotives how much you want. I can discard now changes. I defined this consist already, so I can edit it. You see I got here 3 locomotives, only 2 George Bush and Rio Grande are on a track now. So when I defined it, and when I set the same speed on a speed curve, I can run these locomotives in a consist. You see? They run pretty good. When I want the second locomotive to turn around, what happens now? Wrong. Yeah? So what I have to do? I have to go to settings and turn the direction of the second locomotive. Done. And now the locomotives run the same direction. So very simple. No need to program something in CV values and so on. The application makes everything for you. At the background, it probably sends the commands to both locomotives with the defined addresses, and it is not needed to set any CVs for consist. So it were basic functions here. With mobile control, you got settings here. You can define here different other settings. For example, also you can define the key bindings. Yeah, you see that, for example, bottom right key I got for toggle direction, and top right key for emergency stop. So that was the basic functions. Now I can show you one interesting function. With this mobile control you cannot control only the locomotives, but you can control also your accessories, for example switches. I turn it on. You got an accessory, for example this switch control from Rocco or from your switch controller, and this controller can control 8 switches. You can define it, and now when I click on the first one it changes. Here I got the second one, changes. So perfect and really very simple. Now some final words at the end. I want to say that with the mobile control 2 from ESU or Piko, you buy not only the simple solution but also very powerful solution. Yeah, for example here you can change a new battery when you use this device very often, and after a few years you have to change the battery. It is possible without any problems. And also you can buy a lot of accessory. So when you buy this command station, you buy also the safe future for your layout, because you have to not to buy any other command control and take your actual control to trash or to sell for less money. You can use this control and you can, for example, buy a bigger command station, yeah, and other accessories like booster, detector, switch pilot, or for example signal pilot when you want to control your signals and so on. So this system is prepared for future, and you have not to have a fear that after a few years when your layout grows that you have to look for other solution, because with this solution it is safe. So that's it, and I recommend this control very much. So happy railroading. Finally, one interesting thing, you can also buy ESU log programmer of your ESU decoders. So you can buy a sound decoder, and then you can go to ESU web page and you can download sound for your locomotive. It is very simple to use. Here you got a connector for power supply. Here you got a connector for USB connection to your notebook or PC or tablet. And on this side you got a connector for programming track. So you put a locomotive on a programming track, you connect programmer with your tablet, you install the application, download the sound, upload the sound, and run the Locomotive. So very simple. Everything what you need.